Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and welcome to Soft Flow Yoga. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice, perfect for if you're a beginner or if you're a seasoned yogi that wants to practice some yoga with me. So welcome to the class, and here's what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to focus on a particular pose, which is called triangle pose. And in triangle pose, we'll be focusing on our hamstrings. Great for lengthening, strengthening, and stretching those hamstrings. And triangle pose can also affect, in a positive way, your hips. So that's the two main areas of the body that we'll be focusing on while we do triangle pose. And of course, we always modify our poses. We move slowly, we take our time, and we use props. So our props for our practice today involve a nice soft blanket or towel that you can fold for you to sit on and kneel on, because we certainly will be doing that in our practice. That's just to really protect our knees, our wrists, and we certainly want to do that. We'll also need a couple of yoga blocks, something that's stackable, that are firm. They could also be a couple of hardbound books, like some big dictionaries, for example. So we'll have those nearby. Since we're working hamstrings, you may want to have a yoga strap. That can just be a belt from your closet. It could be a jump rope, just something long that you can use to help stretch out those tight hamstrings. And then lastly, really just as an option, just a big cushion, I have my yoga bolster here. A bolster is very firm, great for supporting the body. For example, if you want to elevate your legs or create a back bend with a little bit of support, yoga bolster comes in handy. If you don't have a yoga bolster, if you have a big cushion, a pillow, that could be like from your couch or bed, that too can also work. This is an optional piece, so we just keep it just in case we want to use it. I like to use it sometimes in the Shavasana practice. Now that we're all set, let's go ahead and begin by starting in a comfortable seated position. Feel free to sit on your nice pillow or folded blanket. Make sure your spine feels long, you're sitting up nice and tall. You might start with just a couple of circles with your shoulders. Check in, take some deep breaths. Just allow your body to arrive in the space so we can begin our practice together. This can be done with your eyes opened if you'd like, and if your eyes are remained open, just take a soft gaze forward or even downward at the floor. And you can also, of course, close your eyes. As you begin this journey inward, start to pay attention to your breath. Making this connection. A reminder that breath is the foundation of our practice. We begin here. We like to start in stillness, taking this opportunity to be mindful, to be fully aware and connected. This is our breathing meditation. And to bring a little bit more awareness to your breath, you want to breathe in a way where you can feel your breath. For example, as you inhale, you want to imagine perhaps your breath sits in your belly, and you want to inhale and pull your air up from the belly to fill up your lungs. Then, as you exhale, we keep that uplifting sensation of the breath. We create a lock, and that's the abdominal lock. So with that exhale, we draw a belly button in towards spine. We feel a light contraction in the belly, and we create that lock so the breath doesn't fall back down, essentially. Again, an inhale, just feel the lengthening of the spine, growing nice and tall. Breath rising to expand and open the lungs. A nice uplifting sensation to keep us supported and lifted. We create the abdominal lock with the exhale, drawing belly in. Now, these are very mild sensations. You don't have to squeeze too hard. Just an awareness of drawing inward, connecting to your center. So we're just bringing a little bit more awareness to the breath. And also breathe in a fashion where you can hear your breath. That might just simply mean turn up the volume of your breath so you can hear it. Hearing each inhale, listening to each exhale. Good. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths while we still sit in stillness. And these 3 breaths are just a way to generate some energy to produce movement in our bodies. Let's start with a very simple movement. This is our moving meditation. So when you're ready, an inhale to extend your arms out across the room and then all the way up towards the ceiling. And just treat it like a nice stretch all the way up. Then exhale, extend your arms out, reaching across the room, and let your arms float back down by your side. Let's do that again. Inhale, reach out. Good effort in your arms, hands, and fingers, reaching into the air. There's the stretch. And exhale, extend the arms out, reaching, and then all the way back down. Now go ahead and continue this on your own, meaning you can move and breathe at your own pace. You don't necessarily need to follow me, just follow your breath. And if you happen to be moving in slow motion, just notice the sensations that do arise in your body. Be aware of the energy in your arms as they reach out and eventually up. Feel what's happening in the shoulders, the lengthening through the sides of your body as you reach into the air. We're still breathing in to fill up the lungs. We're still exhaling and drawing belly in to connect to the center, creating that abdominal lock for more support. Finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. No rush, just take your time. And when you're complete, you can just bring your arms back down by your side and bring your hands to your lap and just come to stillness and let everything relax. And notice that change, that shift from being in motion now to being in stillness. While still seated, go ahead and bring your hands behind you. Just lean back into your fingertips, just like this. And with the arms behind you, you may be able to take the shoulders back a little bit. You can energize that sensation by drawing back and even squeezing shoulder blades together behind you. You're creating a mild back bend. So what we'll do also is just tip the chin up just a little bit. So with the shoulders back, chin lifted, it opens the chest. And we've opened the heart a little bit more, creating this back bend. Now we'll inhale and just press into the floor with the fingertips. Feel that energy kind of shoot up the arms. Breath, of course, is rising to fill up your lungs. Then exhale, draw belly in, and as you're able, squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you. Again, noticing these new sensations in the body, bringing more energy and awareness to the body. Again, when you inhale, press into the floor with the fingers. Fill up your lungs. You might even feel this stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder with that full breath in. Then, of course, when you exhale, we connect to center. Belly draws in, contracting the abdominal muscles and squeezing your upper back muscles together. Go ahead and just take 1 more breath. And then we're ready to relax. Go ahead and lower your chin so your neck is neutral and you're facing and looking forward. You can walk your hands towards yourself, rising up, and let your arms relax in your lap. Come back to stillness. Find your breath. Notice the relaxation. So we'll do a counter pose. Since we just did a back bend, we'll now do a forward fold. If your legs are crossed here, you may want to uncross the legs and we'll reposition them so the soles of the feet touch and we create this hip opening expression of the legs. And since the legs probably will not touch the floor and they never need to unless you're very, very flexible, and that's okay if you're not, you might take a couple of books or blocks, your yoga blocks here, and just tuck them underneath the legs so your legs have something to rest on. Then just holding onto your ankles or shins just so that you're able to easily sit up nice and tall. Here's our breath in. We're still feeling the lengthening of the spine. Breath, of course, is rising to fill up the lungs. Exhale, draw belly in. Nice connection there. And it's support as we start to hinge forward, leading with the heart and chin just forward a little bit. Don't have to go too far at all. And that's for just about every pose that we do. You don't need to go fully, deeply into any of the poses. In those cases, I like to think that we're working beyond 100% if we're pushing ourselves into some poses. But since we're doing soft flow, part of the intention is to move gradually, easy, slowly, so that maybe we're working only at 60 to 70%. So again, we'll inhale, just feel the lengthening of the spine. Fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in for support as we hinge forward just a tiny bit more. About here, I feel like I am about 60% into the pose. And it's just an indicator that I can actually hold this posture probably for a good period of time. Not extremely long, but long enough where it doesn't feel like my body is feeling stressed out, it's not going to get tired easily, and it feels good. I also have a sensation that's very light of a stretch feeling in the inner legs, and that's exactly what we want to feel in this pose that's called half bound, or let's say bound angle pose. That's the name of the posture. Bound angle pose, or cobbler's pose. 2 more breaths. Then after that second breath, we'll just hinge our way back up so you're nice and tall. Right there. You can just hold here for a moment. And then we'll go ahead and remove our props if you're using any. Let's place those to the side. Now we're just going to carefully move our bodies and come to hands and knees. This is where your blanket or towel might come in handy, just for a little extra cushioning. Now you might be using a nice thick mat, which might be sufficient and you don't need the extra padding. But if you are working on a hardwood floor and you have a thinner mat, then sometimes having this prop will be very nice to have. So on hands and knees, just like this. Cat and cow. It's 2 poses that flow together. First, we'll inhale and just tip the chin up. Feel the heart open as if it's moving forward. And we arch the back, so it creates a bit of a back bend, tipping the pelvis back like this. Exhale, we're going to tuck the pelvis under. Feel the belly button pull up towards spine. That's also going to help engage that pelvic rocking sensation. Let the back round and your chin kind of tucks in towards your chest. This is cat. Inhale to reverse it. Tip the pelvis back. Your belly will feel relaxed. It'll kind of drop downward, creating the back bend. Heart opens. Look forward. Exhale, round it all out. So that's the movement. Go at your own pace. Continue to notice the sensations in the body, in particular the nice undulation of the spine and the rocking of the pelvis. As I mentioned, we're going to be working with triangle pose with the main focus on the hamstrings, but it does affect our hips. And so we do want to find some mobility in the hips, and this is one way to do that. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on right here, and take 2 more. And when you're complete, just come to stillness, maybe just pausing here in this tabletop position. Make sure your neck is long, it's neutral, and your gaze is probably directly down at the ground, looking right between your thumbs. And then we'll carefully move. If you happen to be using a blanket for some padding, let's go ahead and set that to the side. You can always use that at any time as you need it. Return to hands and knees so we can get ready for our next pose, which is downward facing dog. Here's how we'll set it up. We'll step the hands forward just a little bit. Spread out your fingers as you do so you get a stretch between each finger. You'll even grip the mat as you're able with the fingertips. Do that with both hands. Press into the floor to flatten the palms, which stretches open the hands. That's always a nice little stretch. But also as you press, you'll feel energy move up through your arms. It straightens the arms, it strengthens the arms. So that's where we want to be as we get into downward facing dog. Then go ahead and tuck your toes, like so. Let's do another set of cat and cow, starting with the cow movement. That's the back bend, accompanied by an inhale. Exhale, round it all out into cat pose. Hold cat pose at rounded spine, belly button engaged by pulling up towards the spine. And then lift your knees and then send your hips up into the air.
and you'll move directly into downward facing dog. If you noticed, I just adjusted my feet a little bit, and you can do the same with your hands. Just be sure you're still keeping the fingers spread out, palms pressing firmly into the ground. Grip the mat with fingertips, strong straight arms. You might even sense at your ears or right alongside the arms here. Keep a good bend in the knees, nice length and spine. Let's do one more thing while we're here, and I call it walk the dog. And that's when you're going to be pedaling the feet one at a time. So what I'm doing with an exhale, I'm pressing one heel down towards the floor. I'm going to feel that in my calf muscles while the other heel lifts. Inhale in between, and then I'll exhale and press the other heel down where the other heel lifts. Feeling the stretch in the calf muscles. And just do that a few more times. And we'll probably do this again when we return a second time to downward facing dog. But for now, let's pause and then step both feet forward, perhaps just to the center of the mat until your feet are flat on the ground underneath you. You might need to slide your hands or fingers towards your toes. You'll be in a forward fold for a moment. Now inhale and slide your hands up to your knees or shins and extend your spine. We're trying to create a nice flat tabletop-like position. Holding just for a second, you're going to feel your hamstrings. What they're doing, they're engaging. Okay, so notice that sensation. Your hamstrings, the backs of your legs here, are engaged. They're flexing so that you can balance in this position. Go ahead and shift your weight back into your heels a little bit. Bend your knees. Feel like you're about to sit down into a low chair. Start to lift your head and heart. Take your arms out to the side. Drive your heels into the floor to help straighten your legs as you stand up tall. Go ahead and reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Treat it like a nice stretch. Then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. This is our first standing position. This is mountain pose. Take a moment to just roll the shoulders, roll them backward a few times, even roll them forward a few times. Let's check in with the other important joints. Elbows. I like to do little circles, again, both directions, just to get into our joints. And then, importantly, our wrists. Since we do a lot of poses where our hands are in this flexed position, like plank pose and downward facing dog, you might just want to circle them and even wiggle your fingers. Okay, now let's do a half salute to the sun, where we're going to start in standing, fold, and then come right back up, mindfully and carefully. Follow me. Starting in standing, mountain pose. Let's inhale, take the arms out and up. Another stretch, reaching for the ceiling. Exhale, spread your wings. Arms come out to the side. Bend your knees. Feel the weight shift back into your hips and heels, starting to fold forward with a flat back. As you get lower, your hands will start to drop because of gravity, and your back will also round. You might touch your toes, but you don't have to touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, re-extending the spine. We're going to hold here on the exhale. We call this half forward fold. We've already done this. We've already been here. But again, you may feel the engaged hamstrings. That's a good thing. This is helping to build strength, especially as we hold the posture. Now, you can always put a bend in the knees. Okay? Let's stand. Shifting weight into the heels, bend your knees, lift upper body up a bit, spread your wings again, then stand up tall, driving heels into the floor. It's a breath in to reach up towards the ceiling. That's this extended mountain pose. And finish with an exhale, bringing your arms back down by your side. If you like, you can go ahead and work those joints again if you want. Our next movement is a variation of Warrior One. Warrior One is a nice lunging sequence where the feet are really far apart, but this first time that we're going to do it, we're going to keep that distance between the feet pretty short. It's also going to be a setup for triangle pose, which comes later. Starting in mountain pose. Let's start by putting a bend in the knees, a nice softness in the knees, shifting your weight over to your right foot. Root strongly into the earth with the right foot. You might lean forward just a little bit. Your right toes, right set of toes will probably grip the mat just so you don't fall over. This is going to allow your left foot to lift and just tap it back until it doesn't go back anymore. You're going to keep the heel lifted, toes flexed like this. We're going to shift the weight back until we're center, turn that back foot so it's on the floor completely. And now we're just right in our center, balanced on 2 feet, and there's the short distance between the feet. Place your hands on your hips. Feel like you're trying to push your pelvis downward towards the floor. At the same time, you're trying to lift your upper body, lengthening through the spine going up. We're making space in the belt line
providing some mobility here so we can turn to face mostly forward. Now we're going to inhale and take both arms up into the air. Reach, and then with the exhale, bend the elbows, maybe just to 90 degrees. Again, this is a variation of Warrior One. We're going to do kind of a variation of triangle as well, because it's somewhat similar, or getting prepared for a triangle, I should say. Let's inhale, take the arms straight up. Exhale, bring the arms down to your side, like so. Now right here, you probably have a good bend in the knees. All I'm going to ask you to do is do your best and try to straighten the legs. Okay? Feel an energy rise up, lifting so it does straighten the legs here. Rather than that softness in the knees, we're just straightening the legs. You don't need to lock out the knees, but just feel how straight they are. We're just going to start to hinge. I'm still facing forward, but I'm just hinging forward just a little bit, not much. This is kind of a preparatory pose for our triangle pose, which is going to be down the road a little bit. But we're getting the legs to straighten. There's an energy in the legs, there's an energy in the hips to help maneuver this posture. Let's rise back up, soften the knees. Let's shift the weight forward into this front foot so you can pick up that back foot and step forward, returning to our standing position mountain pose. Let's do the other side, same thing. Start with bent knees, soft knees, shifting weight into left foot, rooted and connected. Lean forward, let the left set of toes grip the mat. Let's pick up the right foot and just tap it back until it just naturally stops. Heel lifted, toes flexed. Shift your weight back into center, turn that back foot so it's completely on the floor. Here's our center, knees are soft. Place hands on hips, push down. Upper body lifting up, moving in these opposite directions, very typical in yoga, turning to face mostly forward. Inhale, extend both arms up into the air, and exhale, bend the elbows. Now in a typical Warrior One, the arms would remain straight up into the air, but this is our variation. Go ahead and bend the elbows just to feel a little bit more relaxed through the arms and shoulders. And then we'll do that add-on posture just to get into our hamstrings and hips a little bit. Let's inhale, extend the arms straight up. Exhale, just bring your arms down to your side like this. Again, there's that softness in the knees, but feel that energy lift you up to help straighten the legs. Again, not locking the knees, but you can certainly feel that the legs are straight. And then still facing forward, just leaning forward, hinging forward. Back is still flat, hinging forward just a little bit. I'm hardly even feeling a stretch in the hamstring. That's fine at this point. We're just kind of giving the body a little sneak preview of what's to come. We don't want to go too fast or furious into our posture, so we're just giving some hints of what's coming up next. Let's hinge our way back up, soften the knees. Let's shift the weight forward into this front foot so we can pick up that back foot, step forward, or return to mountain pose. And that's it. So that's our variation of Warrior One with a setup for our triangle pose. Let's go through a full sequence here, and we will be going into another variation of Warrior One. Mountain pose. We're going to inhale, take the arms out and up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into your imaginary chair. Back is flat as you start to fold slowly and carefully. Now you might just do a partial fold, meaning maybe your hands land at your shins rather than all the way down to your toes. That's fine. Inhale, slide your hands up to your knees and extend the spine, creating that long, flat back. Now on this exhale, we are going to bend the knees a whole lot more. Let the hands slide down the legs, back rounds quite a bit until you can reach the floor. Place your hands on your mat and start walking. Take your time, as many steps as you need to. Take the feet to the back end of your mat. Once we're there, we're going to draw a straight line through the body like so. So we're parallel to the floor. Plank pose. Breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees a little to send your hips up into the air. Bending the knees puts mobility into the hips, and it's our return to downward facing dog. Adjust your feet. Check in with your hands. Remember, spread out your fingers, press palms firmly into the ground, strong arms. We want that strong upper body.
Now, we'll inhale and pick up the right foot and extend that right leg back behind. You don't have to lift it very high at all. Then you're going to bend your right knee a whole lot. Bring that right knee in underneath you towards your chest or chin. As you do so, shift your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are mostly aligned over the wrists. And then just set that right foot down. Doesn't matter where, just set it down. And then you'll set your left knee down. Pull the weight away from the hand so you can pick up your right hand and literally go get your right foot, pick it up, and place it up a little higher on your mat. So we are getting set up for the second version of our Warrior One. Let's relift that left knee, pivot or turn that heel so it's on the floor. Now the weight is still mostly forward, so I want to walk the hands back so I can put more weight and pressure in that back foot. I'm also rising up to fingertips here so I can lift my upper body to help extend the spine. So it's mostly long and flat, and it's straight out over this right thigh. We do want a nice bend in this knee. With some energy, we're hinging from the hips, rising up until we're tall, and then we'll take the arms up into the air. Inhale here at the top. Exhale, just lunge a little bit more. And here's our second variation of Warrior One. The arms are straight up, and there's certainly a little bit more distance between the feet. Let's hold here for another breath. And we're going to open up to a Warrior Two. Breathe in. We're going to exhale and turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. One thing we want to keep in mind is make sure as you make that rotation, make sure your right knee is still pointing forward. It has a tendency to move inward as you open up. We want to make sure it stays pointing. That's going to open up through the inner right leg. Here's Warrior Two. We're going to move into a side angle pose, which means we're going to reach out like this to angle the upper half of the body. Just a little is fine. Bring the right hand down. It might even come to inner thigh or on top of the thigh. That's fine for this class. Left hand reaching up into the air. Just as long as you have this angled upper body, a bend in the knee, and just like this. This is also a setup for our triangle pose because it will look very similar to this. The only difference is this leg will be straight. Okay, to get into that hamstring. Right now we're just kind of getting into the strength of the legs in this hip opening exercise. Let's move. Breathe in first, and then as we exhale, I like to lift up a little bit to create some good space in the hips so I can easily turn, and then fold carefully. You can even kind of walk down the body, down to the floor, hands on the floor. Let's rise up onto tiptoes behind you. I call this a runner's lunge. Push hands into the floor. Slide the right foot back to meet the other plank pose. Bend the knees slightly, send your hips into the air, downward facing dog. Step into place. Now inhale, lift the left foot, extend the left leg back behind you. Again, the leg doesn't have to lift high. As you exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest, moving slowly, shifting your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are mostly aligned over the left wrist. Go ahead and set this left foot down. Set your right knee down. We're pulling the weight away from the hand so we can pick up the left hand, literally go get the left foot, pick it up, place it here at the top of the mat. Replant that hand, relift that right knee, pivot right heel to the floor, shift the whole body back, walk the hands back, that'll help. I'm on my fingertips to help lift and face forward, long spine. Inhale here to hinge up. Taking the arms up into the air, exhale, just kind of lunge a little deeper. We're just bending this left knee, just kind of settling into the posture. A nice reaching sensation, which you may feel is on the right side of the body, down through this right leg, is a lengthening quality in the right upper thigh and hip flexor region. Let's open this up. Breathe in. Exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room now. Again, making sure your left knee didn't go anywhere. It's still pointing forward. Arms come down to parallel. Here's our Warrior Two. Side angle. We reach forward to angle the upper half of the body. We take this rotation. Again, this left hand can end up right on top of the thigh. Now, you could be reaching lower, even low enough to touch the ground, but for soft flow, we don't need to go there. Just as long as you feel angled. We're working the legs, nice extension of this right arm up into the air, and take your breaths. Ready to move, we'll inhale first,
As we exhale, again, I like to lift a little bit, making space so I can easily turn, facing forward and hinge and fold. Hands to the floor, rise up onto tiptoes right here, runner's lunge. Press firmly into the floor with the hands, strong arms, so I can pull or slide this left foot back to meet the other. Plank pose, hold. Great strength building position. We're going to bring the knees to the floor. Sit back to get off the hands. Briefly in here what's called hero pose, but then sit off to the side, getting off the feet. Swing the legs around to the front, and I invite you to sit in the center of the mat. Before you lie down, because we are going to lie down, make sure your blocks or books are nearby, right next to you, so you can easily grab them. Go ahead and lie down. I'm going to adjust my mat first. Then go ahead and roll down onto your back carefully. Feel free to draw your knees into chest. This is a nice moment just to find some relaxation, some movement to help massage the back, the hips. I even get into the feet a little bit by circling the ankles. I like to flex the feet, point the toes, just some nice movement there. And of course, re-engage, reconnect to your breath. We're moving into bridge pose. It's a back bend, and we'll do what I call a supported bridge pose. That's why we'll use the blocks. Go ahead and set your feet onto the floor, keeping the knees bent. Make sure you got the blocks ready to go. You'll take a breath in, fill up your lungs. As you exhale and engage your core center, which provides energy in the body, lift your hips high enough so you can slide your books or blocks underneath you, just like this. If you have two, that would be great. And then just sit. The two blocks just gives you some height, so you kind of create this back bend feel. And then just relax. Just adjust the body as you need to, your shoulders, your arms, your feet. And just take some deep breaths, just taking advantage of the position. I like to think of this as a counter pose to sitting, because we sit a lot, or a lot of forward bending. That's kind of the function of the body in most cases. But what we want to do, and this is what yoga can provide, something that's opposite, a counter pose to sitting. And so something like a back bend can do just that. I'm just taking a few breaths here. And how about 3 more in total to finish? When you're complete, we just want to press into the floor with the feet, energizing the body so you can lift the hips, again, just high enough so you can remove the blocks out from underneath you. Then slowly make your landing back down onto the ground. And once you're here, stretch out the body, extend the legs out front, and reach your arms behind you with an active stretch. From here, we're going to sit up. Here you might draw both knees into chest. If you're able, you can certainly just rock forward and back, creating some momentum to rock yourself up to seated. Or what I'm doing here, just roll to one side like so if you're able. Press hands into the floor to help lift yourself up, and then face forward again. Here you might want to scoot back a little bit so you can extend the legs out front. This is where you're going to use your strap, okay? So your jump rope, belt, or yoga strap, let's use that. I also like to use my blanket just to have something soft to sit on. It also provides a little bit of support for my back. So if you want to do that, you're certainly welcome to. It is an option. Legs are straight, and just to keep them straight and strong, you might flex the feet. Let's go ahead and unroll our strap here and wrap it around the soles of the feet, just like this, and just hold on to the ends, and just go ahead and bend the elbows. They're kind of relaxed, and they're just kind of resting here by your side. If you tug the strap a little bit, you can use that as a way to help lift yourself up nice and tall in the spine. So it's a very active pose. We would consider this staff pose, just sitting up tall, creating this L shape in the body. Straight legs and straight spine. I'm just going to wrap the strap around my hands a bit. We're going to inhale, get nice and tall again. Exhale, pull belly in, but also a little tug of the strap to help draw your heart forward. I'm hinging forward, but not very far, because what you may experience is that hamstring stretch. I'm already feeling it, and I really don't need to go any further than this. Again, we want to work at that 60 to 70% mark where you have sensation. Your body is working, but it doesn't feel overstressed. It's not overwhelming. You're not going to trigger that stress response in the body where you want to fight or flight. Instead, we want to rest and digest. That's the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, okay? And that's what we, in yoga, especially in soft flow, what we want to enhance is that calming response in the body. We need a lot more of that, that's for sure. So we got this nice initial stretch. We can hold here a few more breaths. And again, you may be able to hold this for a good period of time. Now, if you don't have a strap or it's getting tiring to hold on to the strap, you can always let go. And maybe just have your hands on the legs or on the floor. Something like this can help support the body as you're just holding the position. Let's take 5 more breaths here. This is also preparing us for our triangle pose, and I think we're getting quite close to working our way into that position. Alrighty. After that 5th breath, just hinge your way back up so you're nice and tall. If you're still holding onto the strap, you can certainly release it. And we're done with that, so we'll set it to the side. Here, maybe hands behind you. You can kind of maybe spin the fingers back. We're just leaning back so you can bend your knees, just like this. Let's keep the heels on the floor, feet flexed. And as you're able, hold on to the bend of the knees. And again, sit up as tall as you can. Just assist your own body to come up nice and tall. We're going to move into a variation of what I call boat pose, or it is boat pose, just a variation of the posture. We're going to inhale, feel very tall. Exhale, pull belly in for that secure sensation. And imagine you're in a reclining chair and you're just taking the body back like this. Make sure the back feels straight. The spine is nice and long. And keep the chin slightly lifted, just so the neck is neutral. Everything is in the same alignment as the spine. So the engagement here is really your core, the exhale. You can breathe out through the mouth to help engage the belly muscles here, the abdominal muscles. And again, because we're holding on, the feet are on the floor, and we're not leaning back too far, maybe you can hold this for a good period of time. We're just going to take 2 more breaths. And we'll lift ourselves back up, relax, and let's carefully come back to hands and knees. Just going to swing the body around. I'm finished with the blanket for now, so I'm going to set that to the side. So we're here on hands and knees. Go ahead and take 2 breaths, cat and cow, just to keep that nice mobility through the spine and the hips. We're going to go through another segment here and get us ready for triangle pose and some things that we'll do to really make that a very beneficial posture for us. Pause in a tabletop position. Let's get set up for our down dog. Step the hands forward. Same thing. Spread out your fingers. Grip the mat with fingertips. Press firmly into the mat with the palms. Feel the energy and strength in your arms, nice and straight. Tuck your toes. 1 more, cat and cow. Inhale, look up or forward, arch the back. Exhale, round it out. Pull belly button up towards spine. Use that energy now to lift your knees. Then your hips up into the air. Step into place with the feet. Keep knees bent, hips high, hands rooted strongly into the ground. Here we go. An inhale to pick up the right foot, extend it back behind you. This exhale, we're bending the right knee, shifting forward as you're able. Maybe the foot does land a little closer up near the right hand. If not, do exactly what we did earlier. Once you're here, we'll pivot the left heel to the floor. Send the body weight back, rise to fingertips, extend the spine. We're ready to inhale, hinge from hips, rising up until we're in Warrior 1. We finish by taking the arms up into the air, and here's our lunge.
Inhale again. Exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Let's pause here as we arrive in our Warrior Two position. We're going to get ready for triangle. Let's start by just relaxing the arms for a moment. In Warrior Two, the right knee in this case is bent, pointing forward. We're going to set it up for triangle. All we're going to do is straighten that leg. Feel like everything is rising up, just as we did a little earlier. That energy rises up right there. Arms are still out like so. I'm also going to adjust my back foot. I like to take the toes out a little bit like that. It just feels better on my knee. So here's our setup for triangle. We're going to really reach forward, angled upper body, same thing like the side angle pose, and then rotate the arms. Right hand can just rest high on the leg while the left hand reaches into the air. And because this leg is straight, we're getting into the hamstring. All right, but we're going to do a couple things here just so we can stabilize the leg, continue the length and strength in that hamstring, and effectively strengthen the hips. Let's start by relaxing that left arm, okay? Just bring it down. Bring your hands to your hips, just like this. Still at an angle, okay, and this leg is still straight. What we're going to do with this foot, if you're able, lift your toes, just your toes. And if you can, push or drive the heel of this foot into the floor. And also the balls of the foot if you can. With that extra press, it stabilizes the hip right here. And it might allow you just to tip a little bit more because you feel a bit more stable. You're not going to put any extra strain on trying to stretch or lengthen the hamstring. All we did was just add an activation to the body so we can stabilize the pose and hold here and get that stretch that we want. All right, so back to the triangle arms. Bring the right hand down, left hand into the air. That's our movement. Coming out of the pose, we're going to bend this right knee a whole lot. A lunge to give us leverage so we can come back up to a Warrior Two. Here's what we'll do. We're going to drop the arms again. Turn facing forward as you can. Really a big shift of weight into this front foot. Maybe hand on thigh because we can lean into this because we're going to take this left foot and step up to the top of the mat. This is a little unconventional, but we're just doing something a little different. So I'm just a little push. If it takes several steps, that's fine. Right here, mountain pose. Let's go ahead and take both arms up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair behind you. Fold slowly. Hands might land at your shins, if not your toes. Inhale, let's rise up enough to extend the spine. We're exhaling to fold, round the back, let the knees bend, getting low enough to place hands on the floor. And let's walk both feet back, plank pose. Straighten the line in the body. There's plank. Breathe in while we're here. Exhale, bend your knees to send hips into the sky. It's our return to down dog. Set it all up. Adjust the feet, adjust the hands, find that strength in the palms and your arms. Other side. Inhale, lift the left foot, extend the left leg back behind you. Bend your left knee, bring it in underneath you, shifting forward if you can. Let's get the foot up a little closer to the left hand. Once you're there, right heel will turn to the floor. I'm sending the weight back into that foot by stepping the hands back, rising the fingertips, extending the spine out over left thigh. I'm ready for Warrior One. Inhale, hinge from hips, rising up, reaching into the sky. We'll hold here just to arrive in the pose. Inhale. Exhale, opening to the right side of the room, arms to parallel, Warrior Two. Let's hold to arrive in the posture. And then we'll get set up for triangle on this side. Again, go ahead and just relax your arms. Let's set things up. Again, I'm going to turn my right foot out just to protect my right knee. But we are extending this left leg. Again, the energy feels like it's shooting up the body, so we have a lot of space in this belt line, straightening that leg. Let's take the arms back out to the side. Reach out over that left straight leg. Just a little bit is fine. Rotate the arms. Left hand might just rest on the upper thigh while right hand reaches into the air. Now I can feel, because I'm not energizing the foot, like we'll do in a second here, I can really feel it. I'm just kind of sinking into this posture, which feels somewhat stressful.
even though I'm not going deep into the posture, let's add some support for the body. Let's go ahead and rest this right arm. As we did before, lift the toes, drive the heel into the ground as well as the balls of the foot. Everything just fired up. That's a good thing. As those muscles flex, it helps to stabilize right in this left hip. I don't feel like I'm collapsing into it. It feels strong and supportive. I can bring this left hand down, right hand up. There's our triangle pose modified because I'm not down too low. But I feel everything. It's in the hips, in that hamstring. Alrighty. Now we didn't bring the hands to the hips that time, but you can even do your triangle pose like this without extending the arms. Hands can be on hips. Let's come out of the posture. We'll start by bending this left knee. Nice deep lunge for leverage, because we're going to come back up to our warrior two like so. We're going to drop the arms, turn, so we're facing forward. Again, something unconventional, just a different flow here. Leaning forward, hands on thigh, shifting the weight forward so I can take several steps with that back foot up to the top of the mat. So we can stand up nice and tall, return to extended mountain pose, both arms shooting up towards the sky. Exhale, arms to your side. There we are. So we did our triangle pose and just adding those little elements with the foot to help stabilize the whole leg right up to the hip so you don't feel like you're collapsing or sinking into the pose, but feel much more stabilized in the pose. All right, from our mountain position, we're going to make our way down carefully and come to the closing of our practice. Together, let's inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back and down in to the imaginary chair, folding carefully. Maybe you're low enough to touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to the shins or knees, extending through your spine. We'll exhale, fold, bend the knees a whole lot more. Take your time until you're low enough to bring the hands to the floor and start your walk back. Drawing that line in the body, plank pose. Hold for strength and energy. And then we'll bring the knees to the floor carefully. Sit back to get off the hands. Sit briefly in hero pose, like so. And then we'll sit off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. Again, sit in the center of your mat. Before you lie down, because we are going to lie down, go ahead and grab your strap. We'll do one more hamstring stretch. Have that handy. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. Let's hug both knees into chest. Another opportunity to create a nice massage for your back and your hips. And don't forget your feet. Let's go ahead and set the feet down onto the floor. Knees will remain bent. Even just relax. Just come to stillness for a few seconds right here. Take a breath. Grab your strap. Okay, let's pick up the right foot. Just draw that right knee close to the body. Just picking up the foot, and with your strap, let's see if we can wrap that strap around the bottom of the foot, and then we'll extend the leg into the air. Now the leg does not have to be absolutely straight, okay? If it does straighten, fine. Now this left leg, I'm keeping it bent on purpose, alrighty? You can certainly extend it and place it on the floor, but this is just another way you can do this. You don't have to extend the leg on the ground. You can also just keep the knee bent, alrighty? And so I'm just gently tugging the strap, moving the leg and foot towards the wall behind me, which is going to put that stretch in the hamstring. Now that's just very mild. Again, still working at that 60 to 70%. We don't want to pull too hard. We're not trying to stress out the body, but just feel that extra lengthening work we've already established throughout the practice, and we're not going to hold here too long. Just one more breath. We'll bend the knee so we can release the strap, place the foot on the floor, and just come to stillness for a moment so the body can settle, just in case some stress was starting to rise up. Just take a moment, take some deep cleansing breaths to return to that calm state. And then let's pick up the left foot and we'll do the other side.
Wrap the strap or belt around the foot. Extend the leg into the air. Don't worry how straight the leg is. Just a gentle tug of the strap to send the foot overhead towards the wall behind until you feel just a mild lengthening and stretch quality in that hamstring. And we're taking about 5 breaths here. I can certainly feel something, but it doesn't feel too strenuous, and that's perfect. I do feel like I could hold this longer, but we're going to keep this short. And then we'll go ahead and bend the knee so we can release the strap. Let's go back to our bridge pose. Hopefully your blocks are still relatively handy. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Whenever you feel ready, and exhale to lift your hips. Slide the blocks underneath you. Sit. Adjust the feet and upper body. Again, coming back to that nice relaxed position, our counter pose to sitting. Return to the awareness and sensation of your breath. Very nice. 3 more breaths here. After your 3rd breath, just generating some more energy so you can lift your hips, slide your blocks out from underneath you, set them to the side. Go ahead and take that full body stretch. Lengthen the legs out front, arms behind you, lengthen. Feels good. Let's hug both knees into chest again. And we'll do what I call frog on its back. So just to put a little flex in the feet, just energize the feet. You're holding onto the knees or shins, and just take the legs out to the side. And it just opens the legs, stretches the inner legs, and because the elbows are naturally bent in this position, they'll come to the floor, and the legs can just rest in my hands. I'm just holding here for a few moments, deep breaths. So it's a variation of happy baby pose. It's just without kicking the feet up into the air. I just like this version. It just feels a little bit more relaxed. I can get into the ankles here and just feel that nice natural stretch. And after a few more breaths in this hip opening, we'll bring the knees together and we'll take a twist. We'll start by taking the knees over to the left side of the room. Take your time. You can always use a block or two to help stabilize the body and support the body, just so you don't feel like you're going to over-rotate in this position, because that could happen. It may not feel very good. And so you might place a pillow or a block or two underneath this left leg, the bottom leg, or even one between the knees, just so you don't twist too far. With the knees going over to the right, let's take the right arm to the right. And you may feel this in the hips and low back. This is great since we did a lot of hip stabilizing, especially in our Warrior 2, Warrior 1 for sure, and of course our triangle pose. That might bring a little tension into the hips and low back. And so in this relaxing, twisting posture, we can gently stretch. Two more breaths. After that second breath, we'll carefully come back to center. Hold in center, just an opportunity for your body to realign after being in that first rotation. And then when you feel ready, take your time. Let's go ahead and take the knees over to the right side. Again, the knees or legs could go all the way down to the floor, but just to modify and to support, Maybe the legs are resting on a stack of blocks on that side so you don't over-rotate. Mine are. They're actually propped up on these two blocks while my left arm is reaching to the left side. And this feels just right. It's exactly what my body needs at this moment. Because there's a tendency for me, at least in recent days, where my left side's been a little bit tighter. And so I don't need to stress into a stretch, if that makes sense, but gradually move my body into some wonderful progressive lengthening and reopening. And of course, we're just lying in stillness, feeling relaxed, and taking some deep breaths. So we're just about at the end of our practice. Maybe just taking 3 more breaths. And after that 3rd breath, we'll just return to center. You might hug the knees into your body once again, and maybe just set the feet onto the floor, knees still bent. Take a breath just to feel the body kind of relax and soften. Here's where you can take an opportunity to think about the final position you like to be in, something that is relaxing, that can encourage meditation. Typically that's Shavasana. So you're just extending the legs out front, arms just down by your side. If you need extra support, feel free to lie on a blanket just for some softness underneath you. And don't forget, maybe you got that big pillow. If you need to elevate the legs or keep the knees bent, feel free to do that, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to carefully roll to my side and lift. I'm going to grab my bolsters. I feel like I want to put a bend in my knees, and so I'm going to take my big cushion here and just place them underneath, or place it underneath my legs like this. So there is a slight bend in the knees, slight elevation. My back feels a lot more relaxed, and this feels quite good. So this will be my Shavasana today. So find what feels good for you. Find stillness. Eyes can remain opened, but a soft gaze upward, or close your eyes. Maintaining this connection with your breath. You don't have to be deep breath necessarily, just slow, soft, gentle, but be aware of them. And as with every class, when we come to this final position, feel free to stay here as long as you need to. Even beyond my completion of the class. When I finish up the class and you're still lying down in relaxation, that is perfect. When it is time to move, rather than moving the body too quickly, start with breath. Just re-energize the body by taking some deep breaths, maybe 5 breaths. So these are deep cleansing breaths, energizing breaths. Feeling movement return to your body. You might even start with wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, and just feel that movement generate and move through the entire body. And after your 5th breath, taking your time, moving in slow motion, we're just rolling onto one side of the body, something like this. Another breath to help press and lift yourself up to seated. Feel free to use your pillow or a blanket or block to sit on if you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and sit up on my cushion. Cross your legs, sit up nice and tall. Shoulders are relaxed, arms are down by your side, and your hands can just rest here in your lap, or you can bring hands to heart center.
Take another full breath in and out. Feel the richness of the breath. Nice. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow together saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.